We last saw Asta manage to land a blow on Veto, who inspects his wound and realizes he cannot heal his injuries, as his healing magic is being negated by Asta's Demon Dweller sword. Finral and Vanessa's masterful manipulation of Asta throughout the air proves to be a difficult hurdle for Veto, who seemingly cannot keep up. Although Asta manages to inflict another wound, it is too shallow and the pair realize that they must bring him closer to do any real damage. Meanwhile, Ghosh and Gray have yet to recover their magic. Meanwhile, Charmy prepares a meal and tells them to eat. As the Black Bulls facing Veto continue their assault, Veto has gotten used to their attack patterns and manages to scratch Asta. Yami warns them that the same attack won't work anymore, they all must surpass their limits here and now, and after hearing their captain's words they reply with a resounding yes sir. Vanessa and Finral amp up their magic casting and they both reflect on how far they've come. Vanessa was once trapped in a cage by the Queen of Witches, and although she resigned herself to her fate, she realizes that all along she just lacked courage, the same courage Asta is showing her now. She yells at Asta, telling him she's about to go even faster. We then discover that Finral was the firstborn son of the illustrious Vaude family, a clan of spatial magic users. However, due to his poor magical ability, his father favored his younger brother called Langris, who was his better. Ostracized by his own family, Finral ran away to join the Black Bulls. Lacking confidence in his own abilities, Yami reminds him that he has his own way of fighting, and Finral yells at Asta to trust him as he quickens his pace. Despite their bravado, both Veto and the Black Bulls know they are approaching the limits of their magical output. As Veto tries to strike back, he is hit by a reflect ray as Ghosh, Gray, and Charmy have come to their rescue. Ghosh uses a volley of reflect rays to kick up dirt, Charmy summons her giant sheep, and Gray summons several clones of Asta, all to distract Veto. Veto grows irritated at their resistance, but Asta bursts through a portal, stabbing Veto. Asta's strike finds its mark and they think they've won, but Veto reveals this was all part of his plan. He proceeds to crush Asta, breaking one of his arms in the process. The Black Bulls look on in horror as their greatest chance at beating Veto falls to his knees. Veto laughs and tells them to despair, but Asta remains defiant. The Black Bulls are galvanized by his display of courage and they regain their fighting spirit. Vanessa pulls him out of harm's way and Veto gives chase, but he is struck by a reflect ray and a water blast. Vanessa supports Asta's broken limb with her threads and they prepare for another counterattack. As they begin their assault anew, Veto realizes he cannot track his movements due to the Demon Slayer sword still inside him. He pulls it out, swatting Asta out of the air. He moves to finish the job but is unnerved when he sees a dark energy envelop Asta, which he recognizes as that of a demon. Asta unleashes a barrage of slashes with Vanessa and Finral's help before dealing the final decisive strike, knocking Veto out. The Black Bulls celebrate their victory as Vanessa and Finral embrace the exhausted Asta. Noel is complimented as well, and when Asta pats her on the head, she becomes flustered and shoves him away. An unconscious Veto recalls a memory of him and Licht regarding an injured bird and had considered him the personification of hope. He then remembers their suffering at the hands of humans and he regains his magic. Veto means to self-destruct, destroying the temple and killing everyone within. The Black Bulls realize this was the same blast that the magic captains once desperately tried to stop. Asta encourages them to fight back, reigniting their will. Then suddenly Yami appears, having gone beyond his limits in destroying the spatial magic. He praises his squad mates for their hard work and reassures them that he will take care of this. He unleashes his Dark Cloak Dimension Slash, piercing through the very dimension itself, taking out Veto for good. The Black Bulls rush to praise their captain except for Ghosh, who just wants to see Marie. Jifso kneels and thanks them for saving the underwater temple. Yami asks for the stone, but Jifso is unaware what he is referring to. Nero returns with the magic stone in his beak and Yami retrieves it. Yami praises the squad once more, who begin falling one by one as they're exhausted. The Midnight Sun mourn Veto's death and Fauna swears that she will never forgive them. The Black Bulls recuperate in a hospital bed where, after exchanging some friendly banter, they notice a crowd has gathered outside cheering them on. Meanwhile, Noel visits Kahono and Kayato, apologizing that she was unable to protect her voice. Using her magic, she tells Noel that her voice will eventually heal, and Noel Pinky promises to attend her concert one day. As she leaves, Kayato has fallen for Noel and asks his sister to introduce him. Asta, who has now broken both his arms, runs into Yami, paying respects to the fallen Veto. Asta lays down some flowers he had found and reflects that even though Veto was undeniably evil, he can't help but think that they too had something important to fight for. Asta remembers his promise with Yuno and resolves to be even stronger. The following day, the Black Bulls bid farewell to the underwater temple, and to their surprise, Kahono begins singing and the rest of the citizens join in. The Black Bulls depart with the Song of the Sea ringing true behind them, bringing this chapter of their journey to a close. The Black Bulls settle in their base, where they realize that they'd forgotten to bring Gordon along, who is sulking at being left behind. Yami brings Finral, Asta, and Charmy, who has 4 of the Midnight Sun prisoners, to report to Julius. As they leave, Asta remarks that a stone Nero found at Saucy Village is similar to a magic stone. They teleport near the castle while Finral to stay behind in town. Julius is impressed with their work and informs them that he has sent Veto to be autopsied, while the other prisoners will soon be interrogated. While Julius praises Charmy for her powerful restraining magic, Yami hands over the magic stone. Suddenly, Marx communicates that Chiton, a city on the border with the Diamond Kingdom, is under attack. Troubled by this news, Julius notices that this is no ordinary border skirmish. The attack is being led by Lagus, Brox, and Yegos, 3 of the 8 Shining Generals, the equivalent of the Clover Kingdom's magic captains. The generals remark that Chiton is in a strategic location and capturing it will prove to be advantageous in the future. Ragus uses his lightning magic and disables the city's magic barrier, and Brox mounts his clay boar, smashing through the walls, and chaos erupts in the city as the defenders are slain in droves. Although the situation is dire, the Golden Dawn arrives with Vangeance himself making an appearance. Brox is amused that they would only send a single squad to defend the city, but Yuno blows him away. Sylph remarks that Yuno will never make friends if he never smiles. Julius has no reinforcements to spare and Yami volunteers to go. Although he denies Asta's request to join on account of his injuries, Charmy says he will keep an eye on him, but in truth, she just wants to see Yuno. They go off in search of Finral, who is still flirting with girls. Vangeance tells Langris that they will make the Diamond Kingdom regret ever attacking their country. Yami interrupts Finral while he tries to flirt with girls and strong-arms him into creating a portal to Chiton. Yuno faces off against Brox, who is surprised at his power. Ragus arrives a few moments later to offer his assistance, but Brox has none of it. Ragus fires off a volley of lightning bolts, but Yuno uses Sylph's wind magic to not only fire back his own arrows, however he manages to penetrate Ragus' defensive barrier. Hiding in the shadows, Lotus cannot believe Yuno has gotten even stronger. The Golden Dawn continues their desperate defense of the city, but Yegos uses his slime magic to keep them at bay. Langris arrives and uses his spatial magic to rip out Yegos' magic and his arm, causing immense collateral damage in the process. Lotus notices Vangeance casting a powerful spell and notices that it is sucking up the magic of those in the city. He tries to warn the generals, but they are too busy bickering over who gets to fight Yuno. Vangeance activates his magic, World Tree, Nesteltine, summoning an enormous tree whose branches capture nearly the entire Diamond Kingdom army. The Black Bulls arrive at Chiton, and Asta is awestruck by the massive tree, which Yami identifies as Vangeance's magic. He instructs Asta and Charmy to tend to the townsfolk while he has a chat with the Golden Dawn captain. Brox is enraged that the army was annihilated and he leaves to seek out vengeance, while Ragus is left behind to engage Yuno. Ragus is in disbelief that he, a Shining General, is being pushed back. He attempts to fight back, but Yuno finishes him off with a single strike. Yuno lands next to Asta and comments on his injuries, but says he doesn't plan to lose to him. Klaus and Mimosa soon arrive and exchange greetings with Asta, but they soon leave to tend to continue their operations. Brox finally finds Vangeance and attempts to crush him, but he is defeated with a single spell. Lotus arrives and attempts a sneak attack, however Yami comes to his defense and Lotus is forced to retreat. Yami turns to Vangeance and asks him to remove his mask, suspecting him of being licked in disguise. Asta and Yuno chat happily together and Sylph angrily asks who this shrimp is. Yuno replies that they used to live, sleep, and bathe together. Charmy appears and gives Yuno a snack which attracts the ire of Sylph. The two begin fighting over Yuno's affections and Charmy chases Sylph around. Finral teleports next to them and introduced to Yuno. Langris then arrives, mockingly calling out to his younger brother. He begins insulting the Black Bulls themselves, but Finral does not take kindly to having his friends insulted. Langris is suddenly attacked by a slime from Yegos who survived. However, this time, Yegos has littered his slime body with civilians, preventing Langris from using his spatial magic. However, Langris decides to use his magic anyway, writing off the civilians as unfortunate sacrifices. Asta protests and says that they will handle it themselves, but Langris laughs at Asta and wonders what he can do in his condition. Asta calls for his squad mate's assistance, bouncing off of Charmy's sheep and using Finral's portals to close the gap against Yegos. He emerges from the portal with the Demon Slayer sword firmly in his teeth and defeats the general. Meanwhile, Yami asks Vangeance to take off his mask, noting that his Kai, frame, and voice are all too similar to Licht's. Vangeance obliges and removes his mask, revealing horrific scars on his face which he says he was born with. He explains that he was the bastard son of a noble and was adopted by another family. He grew up scorned for his appearance, however Julius judged him not by his scars, but by the strength of his magic. It was Julius who gave Vangeance his signature mask. Yami senses that he is not lying, nor is he masking his face with a disguise. He apologizes to Vangeance for prying. They receive a call that the Diamond Kingdom has retreated and Vangeance orders the Golden Dawn to tend to the wounded. Finral, Asta, and Charmy depart to find Yami. Meanwhile, Langris warns Yuno against associating with peasants, but he replies that Asta is his rival. Simultaneously, both he and Asta affirm their dream of becoming the Wizard King, and Yuno says that being the captain of the Golden Dawn is the first step. Julius is suspicious about the Diamond Kingdom's true intentions. Meanwhile, Lotus reports to an unseen figure regarding the spells and magic used during the battle. The figure remarks that the shining generals they sent were relics of the past. The time has come for their new battle mages to come to the fore. Yami brings Asta to Owen, a doctor working directly under the Wizard King, to get his arms healed. He then excuses himself, citing he has business to attend to. Owen uses his water magic and discovers something that leaves Asta devastated, and after overhearing them, Finral is also disturbed. Asta returns to Finral just as Yami arrives with a large sack. They return to the Black Bull's base, where Yami reveals that because of their recent successes, they have finally gotten out of their star deficit. He throws an elaborate feast in celebration, much to the delight of the squad. After much merrymaking, Asta excuses himself, which worries everyone as he never gets tired. Finral calls the attention of the bulls and breaks the terrible news. Asta's arms are affected by an ancient curse and they are impossible to heal, therefore Asta will never swing his sword again. This leaves them distraught and they lament Asta's cruel fate. He had overcome his lack of magic through sheer hard work, but his arms were robbed from him. They follow Asta to a cliffside where they see him sitting on a rock. He suddenly jumps up and loudly declares he will not give up, and the Black Bulls are moved by his determination. The next morning, Asta finds that the base is empty save for Yami. He notices Finral and Noel chatting outside and overhear that the members have all gone out of their way to try and find a cure for Asta's arms. Magna and Luck delve into a dungeon, Gauche and Gordon scour the royal library for clues, and Charmy and Gray search the jungles for ingredients. They remark that they want to do everything they can for Asta, who they commend for always being the first on the scene. Asta walks out of the base and is brought to tears. Despite not being blessed with magic, he was blessed with great friends. Meanwhile, Noel and Finral note Vanessa's absence, having left much earlier than the rest. The two step into a magic portal to visit a strange man in shack. Noel and Finral visit Fanzel Kruger, a man who had mentored Asta in the past. 5 months ago, right after Asta receives his grimoire, he meets the naked Fanzel after saving him from a rampaging boar. Fanzel thanks him for his help and for the food. As thanks, he invites him to his house. After they settle in, Asta asks what Fanzel is doing out in the forest alone, and he replies that he is waiting for a certain someone. When he learns that Asta is training, he invites him to stay at his house for the duration. Fanzel begins training Asta in swordplay, revealing that his wind magic also takes the form of a sword. The training proceeds well, and Fanzel remarks that out of all his students in the past, Asta could probably be in the top 2. One day, a woman named Mariella arrives, one of Fanzel's old students. He explains she is helping him search for his fiancée, Domina. He reveals that they were once part of the Diamond Army, but fed up with their cruel ways, they deserted. After being hunted by assassins, they were separated. Mariella brings news that Domina might be dead, producing her bloodied wand. Fanzel is inconsolable and asks to be left alone. While mourning his wife, he is suddenly attacked by Mariella, who has betrayed him. Several Diamond Kingdom mages emerge and take him prisoner. Asta bursts in to rescue him, but Fanzel has lost the will to live and asks that he leave instead. Asta ignores this and strikes down several mages, and encourages Fanzel that a reason to live is not something you have, it is something you search for. Fanzel's spirit is reinvigorated, and he takes up arms against the remaining mages. However, Marielle, citing Fanzel's old teachings, signals a retreat. Asta and Fanzel part ways, and the latter says that he will do his best to search for Domina, who he believes is still alive. However, he soon returns, being chased by a giant boar, and asks him to defeat it as his final lesson. After the events of the underground dungeon, Noel flees from a naked Fanzel. He chases her into the Black Bull's base, where he is promptly beaten and tied up. Asta soon arrives to clear up the misunderstanding. Fanzel then asks about Noel's wand, which he recognizes as being the handiwork of his fiancée. Realizing that Domina is still alive, he is overjoyed. Suddenly, a loud rumbling rocks the Black Bull's base. Fanzel's assassins have arrived. Mariella and her commander, Gallio, oversee the assault from afar. Mariella asks to be sent through a portal for insurance, and Gallio obliges. The attack continues, but Noel's water barrier shields the base. Fanzel emerges from the field, alongside Magna and Luck, who wreak havoc on the enemy lines. Gauche appears behind Gallio and blasts him with his mirror magic, sending him crashing below, where Fanzel is waiting. Gallio points out that he had already sent assassins after his fiancée, but they were prepared for that all along, and Fanzel suddenly transforms into Gray. Meanwhile, Domina reunites with Fanzel, but beats him up for taking so long. Mariella suddenly appears and explains that this entire assault was orchestrated by her to take revenge on the Assassin's Squad. With her squad wiped out, the organization will take months to reorganize. She plans to turn herself over to the Clover Kingdom as penance for her actions thus far. Galio appears, having realized that Mariella has turned traitor. He traps Asta, Fanzel, and Mariella inside his spatial magic, but he is no match for their combined might. Meanwhile, Yami finally recognizes Faisal as an old Diamond commander and gets the gist of the situation. He asks Ghost to keep this incident a secret. Later, Fanzel, Domina, and Mariella bid farewell to the Black Bulls, thanking them for their help. Back in the present, Noel asks Fanzel and Domina about a way to heal Asta's arms, and Domina remarks that there might be a way in her homeland, the Witch's Forest. Right on cue, Vanessa enters the Witch's Forest. Domina explains that the Witch's Forest is made up solely of witches, specializing in curse and familiar magic. Finral puts 2 and 2 together and realizes that this is the reason Vanessa went off on her own. Domina suspects that Vanessa mustered up a great deal of determination, as leaving the forest makes one a fugitive. Vanessa may never return. Noel insists that they be taken to the forest despite Domina's warnings. They pick up Asta on the way and intentionally keep him in the dark about their destination. Meanwhile, Vanessa tries to bargain with her queen. If she can be taught the ancient dispelling magic, she will stay behind of her own volition. The group soon arrive at the outskirts of the forest, and Domina produces 2 cloaks that hide one's magical power to prevent detection by the queen. Shiden, a member of the Eye of the Midnight Sun, informs Fauna of the Bull's destination. Her thirst for revenge against them has grown even stronger. They enter the forest, where Finral narrowly gives themselves away when he overhears a magic potion. A security golem flies nearby the girls, and they pass by undetected. However, the boys' cloak get caught in a branch, causing them to spiral into the girls, thus losing their cloaks. They are immediately attacked by the golems, and after Finral tries to flirt with some girls, they rush headfirst into the queen's castle. There, they find Vanessa severely damaged on the ground. She proclaims that both Vanessa and Domina are her children and she is free to treat them as she wishes, angering Asta. He tries rushing her with Finral's help, but the queen subdues him with a magic flock. Fanzel saves Asta from her clutches, and when they mean to attack the queen, she shows a crystal ball showing them their fate: absolute defeat. However, she senses another threat appear on her ball. An army of the Eye of the Midnight Sun approaches, with Fauna leading the charge. Will the queen set aside her differences and cooperate, or will it turn into an all-out battle royale? And this brings the anime to an end. Comment for part 6. Don't forget to like and subscribe if you enjoyed, and turn on the notification bell so you never miss out on another video. Until next time, take care.